Hi, it's Melanie and Kaleo.
With Rebel and Muse.
Yeah, and we are going to show you Trikonasana, or triangle pose. And I always like to use a block for my triangle. So if you do have a block, you want to have that handy. If you don't have a block, a big book or something can help. Otherwise, free flow. All right, let's go. So the footing for Trikonasana, or triangle pose, is on that balancing beam again, right? So on that same line, it's the same footing as your warrior two pose. So the front toes are going to face forward. The back heel is going to be further back than the toes. So he's going to pivot on the toes, bringing them forward. All right, from here, the front leg straightens. And it's more of a tilt of the pelvis. So have your hands at your hips. We're going to do a little inquiry here. We're going to tilt the pelvis forward and then come back to center. So not the torso, just the pelvis, back to center. And then tilt it as far as it'll go. Extend your arms out. Reach as far as you can with those fingertips, and then tip and pour. Lower that front arm down. Now, it's not necessary to get the hand to the floor. What happens when we reach for the floor and our body isn't, for example, long enough, like my body, if I reach for the floor, this shoulder rolls forward, and that is very awkward. So my pose here would be to have my hand a little bit higher or on a block. Now,
or on your leg.
Or on your leg, yeah. All right, so notice how he has a little micro bend in his front knee. Do the opposite of that and lock the knee. So tendency to lock the knee with hypermobile joints is always there, but with weight bearing, you want to get out of that habit, so little micro bend in the knee is always okay. Good. Now he's going to rotate this top rib cage back and flatten it down just a little bit. Beautiful. Extending up through the fingertips. Now the head is the last to enter the pose. You can just look down at the floor. In fact, look down for now. Lengthen through the neck. And then if you want to add the head, go ahead and turn the gaze either forward or straight up. It creates a little more challenge to balance. This is a balancing posture, so looking at the floor is always okay. All right, to release this, look down at the front toes, bend the knee a little more, come all the way up, extending up through the arm, straighten the leg, pivot on the toes, taking it to the opposite direction. And before you head into it, let's straighten your leg. Before you head into it, as we tilt the pelvis forward, what happens here is this upper thigh rotates slightly out of the socket, and the back upper thigh rotates slightly in toward out of the socket. So now what happens when when the thighs rotate is it kind of puts you toward the back or the outside edge of this front foot. So to ground and find balance, you're going to press firmly into the ball of the big toe, the front big toe. All right, extend out through the arms. Inhale, extend, tilting at the hips, not the waist, at the hips. Lower that arm down. Extend up, 6 and 12 in the hands, rotating this rib cage back, flattening down just a little bit, lengthening the space between the hip and the armpit. Beautiful. He chose to turn his head. I usually look at the floor for balance. Personal preference. Notice a little micro bend in the knee, very safe. And then also get really strong through this thigh. Don't forget about the back thigh and ground through the back heel. If we forget about the back thigh and just soften it, tendency is to press a little bit more firmly into that front knee. So we want to have that both and. All right, to release the pose, look down at your front foot, bend the knee, reaching all the way up, straighten the legs, turn the toes to face forward, and bring yourself back in to Tadasana.
Ta-da!
Peace.